Hello guys, welcome once again. In the last video I have shown you how to download and install the new DLL files for connecting SQLite with your WPF C# application. Earlier in the video number second and no third and fourth video number third and fourth I have shown you how to connect your database using finisher.sqlite library, but in the last video I have shown you how to download and install this new library called system.data.sqlite library, which we are going to use because it's much flexible than finisher.sqlite library. So in the last video I have shown you how to install that new library. So if you don't know and if you haven't seen this last video and you are just seen the third and fourth video, then I'm not using those finisher libraries. I'm using these SQLite new library, which is called system.data.sqlite DLL files. Now in this video I will show you how to create a login page. But before that, if you have done installing these system.data.sqlite, you need to change some settings in your projects. So what setting you need to change, I will show you first. So just right click your project and click this property here, and in here you need to change these properties. So go to target framework, and instead of using .NET framework 4 client profile, we are going to use .NET framework 4 from here. It will give a warning, just say yes, and once you have clicked yes, it will generate this app.config file. So when you do the settings .NET framework 4, then it will create this app.config file automatically, and it will disappear your older opened file. So once again you can open those files from here, and this app.config is a new file. So just open this file from here, and what we are going to do here is, instead of this code which is a startup code in this app.config file, I will just make it bigger so you can see it better. So this app.config file contains this startup code for this framework, .NET framework 4 version 4. So just instead of this startup code here, which is in between this startup tags here and here, just remove this code from here. So I remove that code, and in this configuration tag in between I will add a new startup code which is like this. So if you want, just pause the video and copy this code. I have written this startup start and end code, and here I have given this line called use legacy v2 runtime activation policy is equal to true in the double quotes. And in this startup code tag I have given a tag called supported runtime version is equal to v4.0 in the double tag. So if you want, just pause the video and just copy this code here in the app.config file. Once you have done that, you are now ready to write your login page code. So I think By now you are familiar with the SQLite database, how to create this SQLite database. And if you don't know how to create this SQLite database, you can just go to my SQLite database tutorial. I have this in my playlists. Just search for them and you can see that, and you can create your own database. So what I have done is I have created a database which is called database.db here, and I'm opening this database in my SQLite manager, which is a plugin from Firefox. And I have created a table in this database.db called employee info, and I have given 1 2 3 4 5 6 columns in this database. First is EID, which is employee ID. Second is name. Third column is surname. Fourth column is age. Fifth is username, and sixth is for password. So this username and password we are going to use for making our login page. So I have done this simple database, and I have created this simple employee table with these 6 columns, and now we are going to use this database.db in our file. So now what I will do is I will go to my WPF application, and I will take 2 text boxes from here. So text box 1 and text box 2, and I will just make it a little bit smaller so I can give a label also. So I will take 2 labels from here also, label 1 and label 2, and this label I will change it as user name, and second name I will change it as password, and this first text box name I will give it as user name, and second text box I will name it as password. Okay, or I will just name it as txt underscore password, so it will be more appropriate for the text box. Here also txt underscores username. Okay, now I will double click this button, and in here first of all let's change this button caption also. Instead of using this test name, I am changing it as login. Now it's looking better, and now I will double click this login button here, and we are just having no code here. In the last video I have just added this using system.data.sqlite for connecting my SQLite library with this WPF application. So in here, in this code, you need to declare your database location first. So just below your this public partial class, which is your main window partial class, just go below there and write this code. I will just make it bigger so it will be visible. Okay, so declare this first, write string and give it a string variable name, in my case db connection string, is equal to, write this at the rate sign and then give double quotes, and inside this double quote write data dash source is equal to your database name. Because my database is in my debug folder of my project, that's why I'm not providing any path. If it is outside your debug folder or wherever your this exe file is there, then what you can do is just right click and just go to security and just copy this path, and you can just paste it here, and when it shows error just give these double slashes here. So because it's in my debug folder, I don't need to give this long path.